There was a high school hoops game in the state of Indiana over the weekend that got a lot of attention, as it should. This was Braylon Mullins, who is a UConn commit, who's one of the best recruits in the country, and Luke Ertel, who is a Purdue commit, who is a recruit that Purdue fans are very excited about, but definitively by ranking services, not one of the best recruits in the country. A guy that when he committed to Purdue, just hand up, being honest about how we've covered this, a lot of jokes were made at his expense by myself, and I think it was Cart at the time. Might have even been you a little bit. Just a whole lot of like right after the cannon catching stuff happened. Like the next big move was we signed Luke Ertel, and this comes off the heels of us saying, "Hey, why are you signing six-man freshman classes with a bunch of non-contributors when your team's supposed to be winning titles?" Luke Ertel is another long-term development type ad that from our perspective in the summer was not what Purdue necessarily needed in the Braden Smith era. Anyways, long story short, that takes us to this weekend when Mount Vernon, which is Luke Ertel's high school team, was playing Greenfield Central, which is Braylon Mullins' high school team. And this ended up being a double overtime game. Braylon Mullins, 38 points. Luke Ertel, 36 points. These two are going toe to toe, basically in war for this entire game. And in the end, Luke Ertel and Mount Vernon got the best of Braylon Mullins and Greenfield Central and got an 83 to 76 victory. You can find a lot of highlights from this game. You can find interviews, recaps, all this. This was a huge deal in the state of Indiana, which we know loves their high school hoops. But I'll just highlight one specific play from this. Down three with 15 seconds, clock winding down. Luke Ertel hits a huge three to tie the game and extend the game. He had the clutch gene going in this one and basically went toe to toe with five-star Braylon Mullins and gave you the exact same production and a win over Braylon Mullins in his final run of high school hoops. How meaningful is this to you?
Hey, listen, Mike Woodson can't lose right now. This is another win for Mike Woodson. The Purdue guy gets the best of the guy that didn't come to my school. Woody can't lose. Um, no, I think it's pretty meaningful because, like, I mean, let's be real. 38 from Braylon Mullins. If you're Dan Hurley, you got to be fired up about having Braylon Mullins at your school, obviously. Um, but 36 from Ertl, that's the development that Purdue's like hoping for, right? Like that's the potential in him that they're hoping Matt Painter can bring out on a consistent basis. Um, I don't think anything in this changed my opinion that like he year one, maybe even year two, you're probably not going to get the most production from Hurdle, but it goes to show that what they're expecting is in there. And by year three, by year four, that might be a guy where it's like, dang, like he can really hoop. Like a classic Purdue guy that kind of just jumps off out of nowhere. And it's like that guy can really get after it. Um, I will say this Greenfield Central pre-game, if you told me Mount Vernon was playing Greenfield Central and to the naked eye, I'm taking Mount Vernon 20 times out of 20. Like, like that when you go name wise, like Mount Vernon is such a better high school basketball
All
team than
right.
Greenfield
All
Central.
right. I don't know that much about Mount Vernon. I've heard of both of these programs, but yeah, from watching all the video I could find of this game, just want to shout out Mount Vernon's uniforms. Incredible jerseys. They got some like paint blot splash stripes. It was pretty cool. Look, I mentioned it in the open to this video, but like I have expected nothing from Luke Ertel as a recruit, nothing from Luke Ertel in a Purdue uniform. Look, he actually has risen a little bit since he committed. He's now, per 24/7, the 136th best player nationally, a three-star recruit. 24/7's composite has him as a four-star and the 109th best player nationally. In the state of Indiana, he's the second best player. Braylon Mullins is the first best player. So this very much was like a game these two were excited about that matters when two guys square up. And I believe this was for a sectional championship. So like, this is something that your high schools really care about. The gym was packed for this one. Um, just point blank, didn't believe Luke Ertel had this in his bag to go toe to toe with Braylon Mullins and not just win, but like match him like 38 for 36 points from the dude that's going to UConn, that's one of the consensus best 15 players in the country, who's 6 inches taller, is dunking everything. Like Braylon Mullins is going to be an NBA player. He's a stud. Luke Ertel is a three-star, 6'1", 170-pound lefty point guard that I've thought would not even factor into the rotation at Purdue. And here he is outplaying Braylon Mullins or matching Braylon Mullins and getting a win in the most meaningful game of the season. That does mean something to me. It has my full attention. And if you watch the highlights of these shots that he was making in this game, dude, he's saucing. He's out on the perimeter doing some off the dribble stuff. It is something that I had not seen on film before this much, and just looked awesome, for lack of a better word.
Him and Braylon Mullins, both of them got a lot of swag to them. There's a lot of swag in their game. It's not very robotic, um, which is probably what excites Purdue fans so much about the idea of him going there, right? Like he's doing some stuff that like not a lot of Purdue guys can get after and do, especially like there's a little aura behind him. Absolutely crazy to me. The top two players in the state of Indiana, one's top 15, the other's barely ranked in the top 150. Like that's kind of crazy. Like Indiana basketball at the collegiate level is so good, and then there's just not that many like crazy talented high school recruits at the same time within the state. Is a little insane, but I mean, how many states can say the two best players in their state went toe to toe in the state championship game at the same time? Like that's kind of a phenomenal thing to say if you're an Indian high school
Sectional
basketball.
championship, not the state
Oh,
championship.
sectional.
Yeah.
Okay, because that was gonna be my other point. Is like in California, we're still at sections. How did they get to state already? Like I feel like there's some games
I
missing.
will say the crowd looked like it was a state championship game. This place was packed, but
I wonder if they do the same weird things California does, where there's a chance these two teams play again in like a week.
I think it's dead. I think
It's
Mullins is
dead.
out. Yeah, my understanding is this was it for Mullins, but
Okay.
um, yeah, I don't know. Just you go through. I went back and looked at some of the stuff from when he committed. Like all the quotes are basically like, "Hey, this is my dream school. I'm not waiting." And at the time, he chose Purdue over Butler and Wake Forest. That was it. Indiana, South Carolina, Iowa were starting to show interest, but like it's not like the best schools in the country were recruiting this kid. Purdue was his big time offer, and he was just like, "Yeah, that's all I need. I don't want anything." If he ends up being good, he's Purdue fans' dream as a player. Like they love this archetype of a kid.
Yeah. The Purdue Dream School stuff, even like the lefty point guard aspect, undersized, everyone doubted him, went toe to toe with Braylon Mullins. This is everything that Purdue basketball lives by, including the aspect of development. So, I mean, not only is it Luke Ertel's dream school, this might be Purdue's dream basketball player. So it's a match made in heaven. The only like similar match made in heaven might have been Braylon Mullins going to Indiana, but Woody couldn't finish that one.
Yeah. Luke Ertel, you have my full attention, my friend. What a performance.